What's going on, everybody? Paul Hickey here with the Sports Card Strategy Show with nooffseason.com. And I'm excited to be here. It's going to be a little hectic on this broadcast, but we are doing a special edition, how to value a sports card from Graybo's. And there's the right graphics. A little discombobulated here, everybody. Welcome to How to Value a Sports Card. I'm Paul Hickey with nooffseason.com and the Sports Card Strategy Show. I've got Duke Dodson with me. We're getting ready in the shop, and I'm going to turn the camera on and Duke's microphone on here in a second. And we're going to focus on the people in the shop. But let's get going to say hello. We want to do this because we're doing how to value a sports card. We've got some nice young people in the shop here today with their parents, and we're going to walk through how to value a sports card. Again, Paul Hickey here with nooffseason.com. You see Duke Dodson in the background. We're going to get started here in a second. There's the man. We'll make his mic hot. You got a hot mic now, Duke, if you want to say hello to everybody.
Dr. Chad, where you at?
Yo, Dr. Chad, where's Xavier? Got to get him on watching this.
Borelski on my shoes. Where you at?
Where you guys at? Let's get Junior Shoes on here. This is for everybody that can't make it to Graybo's. We wanted to broadcast. So we're going to start focusing on the people in the shop here. We can see what's going on in the shop.
Let me know if they need to move so they can be seen in the camera.
Let's test this. We're testing this new situation here we have with the extra camera. There's everybody in the shop. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? All right, there we go. There's everybody. Everybody wave to the camera here. Everybody's on YouTube, Sports Card Strategy Show, nooffseason.com. All right, I think we're ready to go here.
All right. This mic.
All right.
Okay. You ready to do this?
Ready to do it.
All right, folks. Hey, really appreciate you guys being here. Very excited. I know some of you guys drove from Colonial Beach this morning, and some of you are here, so I'm glad to get the kids in the shop and the parents as well. My name is Duke Dodson. I'm one of the owners here of Graybo Sports Cards. I know most of you. This guy to my right here is a guy named Paul Hickey.
Hey, guys.
When I got into the hobby a couple years ago, got back into the hobby, I was out there looking for content. I was out there looking for who can help me learn this business, learn how to collect cards, invest in cards, how to make money on cards, how to think about the hobby. And this is the guy that I found that I became the biggest fan of. And so I started listening to his podcast, subscribing to his website, nooffseason.com. And his podcast is called Sports Card Strategy. And then the day we opened the shop, I emailed this guy and said, hey, man, I just want you to know we opened the shop and we have the shop filled with cards of people you told me to buy. It was Tyrese Maxey and it was Cam Thomas. And I sent him that email and he replied back. And then we formed a partnership. So now Graybo's sponsors his website and we do a lot of stuff together. And so he's in town from the weekend from Nashville area and really excited. So do you want to say anything else to introduce yourself first?
I'm just really excited to be here, guys. Thank you so much for coming to Graybo's today. And hopefully you'll have some fun and learn a little bit about how to value a sports card. We think it's important. We'll explain why we think it's important in a second, but I just wanted to say hello. Thanks for coming. I'm super grateful that I'm able to do this and meet great people like Gray, Fitz, Duke, and you guys. So thanks again for coming out.
So let's start. We want each of the kids to come up and we're going to say into the microphone your name, your age, how long you've been collecting cards, and your favorite player to collect. All right, you want to go first? Come on up. Make sure you get close to the mic. Come over here today. So
yeah, come on over here and you can say hello.
Yep.
My name is Mac. I'm 10. I've been collecting for like 2.5 years, and my favorite player to collect is Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. Okay, you got an Eagles fan in the house.
Mac.
Nice, very nice.
My name is Price. I'm 10. I started collecting about a year ago, and my favorite player to collect is Adley Rutschman.
Adley, you got an O's fan in the house. Very nice. Connor, come on up.
My name is Connor. I'm 12. I've been collecting for about 3 years, and my favorite player to collect is Giannis.
Giannis. You sure it's not
that's
Jalen
my
Green?
guy.
Just kidding. He saw us a big Jalen Green. Yeah. Come on up, Ty.
My name is Ty. I'm 12. I've been collecting for like a year, and my favorite player is Judon or Trevor.
Judon or Trevor. Nice. Very nice. Well, cool. Well, yeah, man. You want to go ahead and go to the next slide?
Yep, let's do it.
I'll let you
Let's
start.
get into it. All right. So, like I said, guys, I'm Paul Hickey with nooffseason.com. I do the Sports Card Strategy Show every Monday, and I just started it because I wanted to have fun talking with my friends about cards. So we're going to teach you a bunch of stuff today. We're going to talk some stuff you might already know. We're going to talk about how to value a sports card using free sources, paid apps. We'll talk about some terms. We'll go through some examples together with you, and Duke and I will do it up here as to how to comp a regularly traded sports card. So we'll cover this in the term section, I think, but I call that liquid. So we say when a card is really liquid, what we mean by that is that it's regularly traded. There's a lot of data out there about how often it sells for and what it sells for. And then we'll go through some harder to comp cards. What that means is that there might be some rarity behind it. There's not many of them. And because there's not that many of them, there just isn't going to be that much data about that. So those cards are typically harder to buy, but they're also harder to sell for that reason, because there's not as much data out there about it. So we'll go through that. But another point I wanted to make real quick is that for me, when I was your guys' age, I was a collector. I put sets together. This was like during what they call the junk wax era now, in the late 80s, early 90s. And when I found my old sports card collection at the end of 2020, I had been out of the hobby for like 30 years. And I just decided I wanted to get back in because I was in my late 30s, early 40s, wanted to start having fun again in sports cards. And I wasn't in a position where I could buy a lot of cards. And I think that's probably where a lot of us are at all times. Like, we wish we could have more cards than we actually have. Do you guys feel that way? So it's like, so for me, I still feel that way. But the reason I started my show is so that I could kind of scratch the itch of not being able to go out and buy all the cards that I wanted to buy. But I still wanted to do something related to the sports card business. And so that's why I started my show. And it literally started just me talking with a good friend of mine from when I was your age about sports cards. And it's evolved into where it is today, to where now I'm fortunate enough to be able to meet all these guys that have a successful business here with their card shop and all the other things that they're doing. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys that little backstory on me, where it's like, I'm just like you, basically. And you guys can turn.
You'll be him one day. You keep getting older.
I mean, I don't know if you want to be me, but if you want to do something in sports cards, that, like, these guys will tell you there's a ridiculous amount of opportunities. The path is there for you guys to do whatever you want within the hobby. There's a lot of stuff going on. So
yeah.
All right.
So yeah, you want to get into the free sources?
So we'll go to free sources. Duke's going to kind of walk you through, and then I'll add what I have to add.
Yeah. So I always assume, being kids, some of these terms you may know already, some you may not know. Let's start with the term comp. Do you know what the term comp means? You do know? Yeah. Do you know what the longer word? Comp is the shortened version of a word. You know what the longer word is for comp? Dads know? Yeah, comparison, comparable. Like, it started in the real estate world. A comp means a comparable. So if you're in real estate and you're buying or selling a house, and what the realtor uses to determine how much the house is worth is what's called the MLS. MLS will show you what a similar house sold for, right? So if the house next door is just like yours and it sells for $400,000, then yours will probably sell for $400,000, right? So in the sports card world, eBay is like the MLS. So that's the first place we usually go to find a comp or comparable. So if you have, and we're going to do this in a second, let's say you have a Patrick Mahomes card and you're trying to figure out, hey, what is this worth? Then the first place I would go is eBay, because eBay is the biggest marketplace for people buying and selling cards. If I sell this card to you in the shop, the world doesn't know what you paid for it. But if you buy it on eBay, then the world does know what you paid for it. And so I can go on eBay, I can search for a Patrick Mahomes, say I'll type in the year, the name of the player, the number of the card, all that stuff to make sure you get the right card. And it's going to show you what's for sale, but more importantly, it'll show you what has been sold. So if you guys use eBay before, you have? So when you go to eBay first, it's going to show you what's for sale, and then you can click sold items, and it'll show you what actually sold, right? So eBay is a great free source. And another one that you guys have probably used is 130 Point. Have you guys used that one? You guys know what that is? So we'll show you that in a second. So on eBay, if it buys or sells at an auction, then you'll see the exact dollar amount it sold for, right? But if it sells, if I have it listed for $100 and somebody makes me an offer and I really sell it for 80, it's not going to show you 80. It'll show you 100 with the line slash through it on eBay. You know what I'm talking about? You've seen the green line slash through it. So you can go to 130 point. It'll show you exactly what the card actually sold for. It'll show you actually $80. You have anything you want to add on eBay?
No, that's great. I mean, when I started using eBay, I didn't realize that you needed to go to sold and completed listings first. So
Yeah.
I mentioned a minute ago when I found my old sports card collection a few years ago from when I was your guys' age. The reason I got all excited about it is because I started I was sitting around with my family, my wife, my kids, and my in-laws. And they're like, what do you think this David Robinson 1989 hoops rookie's worth? And I'm like, I don't know. Let's look it up on eBay. And so we're searching on eBay and you see all the listings. And we started going nuts because it's like $50,000 for this card. You know, it's like, no, it didn't sell for that. And I remember my uncle growing up, my uncle would always tell me something is only worth what somebody is willing to pay you for it. And so that piece of wisdom from my uncle stuck in my head when I was doing that. And then I was like, all right, let's see if there's a way to see what these actually sold for. And so then I found the sold and completed listings. And then that's where like Duke's saying, you get to where you see, okay, and it's green and there's not a line through it. Now you've got that actually sold for that. So you can go around and tell people, you can tell your friends, you can tell your parents, your loved ones, people at card shows that you're trying to wheel and deal with. Hey, this sold for this, you know? And so that's what that means. And then like Duke said, with the line through it, we'll get into the details of that in a second, but that's where people at card shows or people that you're trying to wheel and deal with will tell you that didn't sell for that because it has the line through it. It sold for less than that. And then 130 point is where you can go to find out what that actually sold for. So
and I think a good point to understand too is that if I sell something to you on eBay, let's say you buy it for $100, eBay charges a fee, right? Around 12-13%. So me, the seller, I only get $87, right? So what is the value of that card? Is it 100, which you paid, or is it 87, which I got, right? And I think a lot of people like going to card shops and to card shows because you're cutting out the eBay tax, that eBay fee, right? So at a card show, the seller wants 100 and you want to pay 87, but maybe you meet somewhere in the middle of 92, 93. So both sides get a better deal than you'd get on eBay. The seller gets a little more money and the buyer gets it at a discount.
The other thing I'll say about eBay is like, do you guys have the eBay app on your phones? Do you guys all have phones? Of course, right?
No. What's the standard age for people to kids to get phones these days? Because my 12-year-old doesn't have one yet, but what's the age? Graduation of fifth.
Graduation of fifth grade.
Don't tell my kid that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I didn't mean to make anybody feel bad here if you don't have phones, because it's probably about 50% or 75%. Anyway, have you guys used eBay at all, either on a computer or on a phone? Everyone's saying yes. Okay, cool. So the eBay app, the one thing I just thought of this is that we all went to this trade show called Mint Collective. We were all there, except Gray wasn't there. Yeah. Next year, Gray.
Too soon. He's still
anyway, sorry about that. Had to throw him under the bus. Okay. Somebody had to run the shop.
That's right.
Somebody had to run the shop. So what we all learned more about eBay. So eBay has features called like My Collection feature. They have a vault. And eBay is doing a really good job of helping collectors like us and invest. Like I say, we're all investors too, because we're talking about how to value a sports card, which means we're investors. eBay, the tool within your eBay account, can do more than just help you buy and sell your cards. It can help you see the value of your collection as people buy and sell your liquid cards. Like if you end up buying a card that's regularly bought and sold, the eBay collection feature will show you how well your card's doing after you bought it, which is really cool. So the eBay app itself really, and I don't get paid anything by eBay to say this, it's just a really great tool. I don't know the data point on this, but I think we can all say confidently, even though there's multiple marketplaces and multiple ways to look up data, eBay is by far the market still. Like most transactions are happening on eBay. So anyway, I think that's my main points about eBay.
Yep.
All right. So Duke, you want to walk us through some of these paid apps and then?
Yeah. So eBay is a great tool because it's free, right? But there's also some paid apps that can give you a little more insight into the industry, insight into pricing. Before I get into these, though, I would love to hear from you guys. What tools do you guys use to value sports cards other than eBay? Yeah, COLLX. Yeah, collects. Okay. Is it free or paid? And free, and you take a picture of the card or you type it in? You take a picture of the card? Cool. And do you like that tool? Is it a good tool? What else? How about you? Sports Card Investor. Great. Yep, that's a good free one,
Awesome.
right? Sports Card Investor. How about you guys? Anything else? There's one called Center Stage. A lot of kids. Center Stage. You guys like that tool? So you just scan it. Does it do graded cards and raw cards? Can you scan just a raw card? You can? Okay, cool. Very cool. So these are some of the paid apps that I actually use, and I'll tell you why I pay for that. And I never realized as kids you don't have unlimited bankrolls, and free is better. But something to think about in the future as you get older. Maybe if you actually turn this from a hobby to something you actually want to make money at down the road. So Sports Card Investor is the free version, and then Market Movers is owned by the same guy, Jeff Wilson, and it's a paid version. What Market Movers does, it's almost like it treats the card hobby almost like a stock index. So what that means is you can look and see how are football cards as an industry doing, and you can see over the year the seasonality of it. You know, in the dead of the off season, prices are lower. The height of preseason prices go up, and then Super Bowl prices go up. So it'll give you some charts and graphs. If any dads out there that like file like the S&P 500, for example, Jeff Wilson has put together what he calls the SCI 500, which is pretty cool. So he takes like the 500 most commonly traded cards. So like the 52 Mantle, the Jackie Robinson rookie, what you're seeing, the Jordan rookie. And over time, you'll see how that goes up or down. And you can look at how that compares like to the stock market, the real estate market, general economy. It's kind of, if you're like a data nerd or a math nerd or just somebody who follows the economy, you can do that through Market Movers. Another thing you could do is you could chart a player. You could take 5 or 6 cards of a player and you see how that goes up or down. And what's even cooler is you can chart multiple players against each other. So I'll give you an example. Let's say there's 4 quarterbacks in 2020 that are all like were rookies, right? Like Joe Burrow, like who's in there, Kyler, maybe Tua, some other guys, right? And you can put their prices, the same card, same year, but 4 different players. You can chart them against each other, and you can start to see trends. You can start to see, whoa, Burrow's way higher than Tua. Tua's higher than Kyler, whatever. Because maybe you're a Tua fan. I'm not a Tua fan, but let's say you are, and you think Tua is going to catch Burrow. Then you can see how much of a price gap there is between Tua and Burrow, and you could say, well, if Tua performs, his cards will go up to where Burrow, he is like the ceiling, for example, of that year, and Tua might be, somebody trying to go. So Market Movers is a great tool. There's a lot of different things you can do with it. Paul, I know you actually have partnerships with the Sports Card Investor and Market Movers. You want to add anything about Market Movers?
Yeah, I use Market Movers a lot. If you guys want to get your first 14 days for free and then 20% off any product, they have multiple levels of the software product that you can use. 20% off for life on any product after that. Use the promo code NOOFFSEASON. And check it out. Let me know what you think. Email me at paul@nooffseason.com. Let me know what you think. But I've worked with these guys. And another little thing for you guys that I've sort of learned throughout my life is that if there's something that you're passionate about and you know a lot about it and you feel like you want to connect with that person, try it, because that's what I did. Duke mentioned a second ago that I work with these guys. They're much bigger than I am. They have a much bigger audience. They have like 50 people that work out of an office in Atlanta. They're great people. But when at the end of 2020, when I found my old sports card collection, I started reaching out to people. I did my research. I wrote a book, which my wife encouraged me to do just on my experience. I say a book. It was really just like kind of a long Google Doc, but turned it into a book, sent it to these guys in Atlanta, and then they wanted me to end up writing for them. So it's like, don't be afraid to set your eye on something that you want to try to do. And then you can try to make it happen. So that's actually how I was able to work with these guys. And now I also write for them, and I'm able to use their product for free since I write for them. So that's part of the reason why I use it all the time. And I need to use it for my articles that I write for them as well. But I will say I have used the other tools that we're talking about as well. And this to me is one that can always shine above the rest. I think that each tool has its place. I think we all use a bunch of these different apps all the time, but to me, Market Movers is one, and I'm not just saying this because I work with them, but it's one that definitely has a place. Like it's definitely one that you can, if you want to look at comparing cards, the SCI index is really cool. I use Market Movers and Sports Card Investor for trying to figure out like, which we'll get into in a second, like how to make money on specific cards that you could buy raw or from a grading company other than PSA, and then cracking that slab and sending it into PSA. So we'll talk about that, and I'll show how I do that on Sports Card Investor here in a second. But
and one more point to make on Market Movers, like compared to eBay, why it's worth paying for in my mind versus the free is if you look at comps on eBay, you're seeing the last one that sold, the last one that sold, your last one that sold, and you'll see prices may be close together. They may be all over the place. Market Movers will put it on a graph and put a trend line. So you know what a trend line is, kids? You probably haven't taken stat yet, right? So picture a chart showing all the prices of this card sold for the last year, and you can see, is it trending up? Is it trending down? What's the average? And it basically, it's taking all the random data of eBay and putting it in a more like sophisticated kind of chart for you.
Yeah, I love that. So like we just did that on the F1 Card Strategy show a couple weeks ago, where we used Market Movers to look at the F1 drivers and when the best time to buy them was. And we found out based on the trend line, like it doesn't take long because of what Duke's talking about. It took like less than 5 minutes because you do the search in Market Movers and then you go back 365 days or all data. And then you can see the trend line, and like December is like, if you buy an F1 card, not any F1 card, but do your research, but most of the top drivers, Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, and George Russell, those guys, their base 2020 Topps Chrome PSA 10s, you could buy super cheap in December, and you could sell them at the last week of February, first week in March for like double the price. And just doing that, we were able to do that from the trend line that Duke's talking about.
And then one more way I use Market Movers now that we're talking about it. I love buying minor league baseball prospects. One of you mentioned you're an Adley fan. So like if you are looking at buying a minor league prospect, maybe they come through and play the Richmond Flying Squirrels and you like them and you're like, hey, maybe I can invest in that guy. What Market Movers can show you is like if this guy's selling, his auto is selling now for $20 and you say, well, if I buy it for 20, what could it go to? Like you have no idea, right? But you could go and look at somebody like Adley that has already been pulled up. That's a star in the league. And you say, what is that same exact card selling for? And you can chart them beside each other. And so if that same card for Adley might sell for $100, for example, and so at least you know, hey, I'm buying it for 20 and I'm hoping to sell it one day for 100. So it's a good way to compare players to each other.
This is all stuff we do when like in between spending our money on the actual cards. And I'm glad this stuff exists because like I wouldn't know what to do with myself. Like I'd be buying way too many cards. Like, so having these tools, I think also, it may sound like we're just throwing words at you, or it's like, what are they talking about? But it's also like fun. I think it's fun to do the research and sort of fill the time in between when you can make it down to Graybos or, buy something on eBay or whatever. So
sure. Yep. And so other paid tools other than Market Movers, I use Alt and I use Card Ladder. And I use that for similar to what you guys do with Center Stage, where you can take Alt, for example, if it's a slab, a graded card, you can take a picture of it and it'll instantly give you data on that. And both Card Ladder and Alt will give you a price recommendation. So what they're doing is they're taking all the comps of this card from the last 30, 60, 90 days. They're showing you what the comps are, but they're not just giving you what they sold for. They're telling you, I think this card is worth $180 or $100, and you can see why. So both of those tools are just ones to consider. They have free versions of those apps and they have the paid version of those apps.
Can I ask you real quick, Duke, or anybody here, have you guys used Card Ladder? I know they have a good free version. What was that?
He said used it once. Yeah.
Once. Okay. What did you think? Okay. Little tutorial would have helped maybe kind of thing. Yeah, I agree. I think same thing with Market Movers, honestly, is like a tutorial, people showing you how to do stuff. really helps.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can do, we'll get into some of that today. I don't know Card Ladder or Alt as well. That's why I ask. So has anyone used Alt? I know you guys already kind of mentioned some of the apps that you use, Center Stage, things like that. Does Center Stage give you guys data, or does it show, like when it scans the card?
Does it give you a price recommendation? Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay.
Very
Cool. So it shows you what it's sold for, and then you can swipe and see the individual listings. That's awesome. So one of the reasons I asked that too is because I'm just curious. What do you think the difference is between Card Ladder and Market Movers? Because those are kind of the big two paid tools, and I know there's kind of like the hobby is kind of split between the two.
So I use, to me, and to be honest with you, there's probably a lot of functionality of both that I don't use, right? That I'm just doing it the way I do it. I think everybody kind of does that. So for me, Card Ladder, I take a picture, pops up quickly. I see the price recommendation and then the recent comps. And if it makes sense, great. If not, to me, Market Movers is a more sophisticated tool, lots more ways to use it. And if I'm looking at, for me, Market Movers is a great comping tool. It's very card traded a lot because you'll see the trend line. It kind of locks it in. You know, that's the price. But I just think you can use Market Movers for so many other things if you're willing to do the research and do the work.
So on my show, we use Market Movers a lot, and we try to show people how we use it. So I definitely am plugging my show if you guys want to check it out. But I will say, this guy Tyler, he goes by Teapot for Sports Card Investor. I don't know if you guys have heard that name at all, because Jeff Wilson throws it out there a lot. But I know Teapot, he's a great guy, and his video, he does videos on, I think it's the Market Movers app YouTube channel, not the Sports Card Investor one. But to your point about like needing a little bit of help on how to use the apps, I think like if you were to check out, I think that'd be a good resource to check out the Market Movers app channel on YouTube, because he'll show you how to use the tool to find the data that we're talking about as well. So,
Yep. All right. So paid apps. You want to go to the next one? Okay. So we're going to actually comp some real cards here, have you guys do it as well. I think you'll see that some cards we call regularly traded cards, or as Paul described, liquid cards, much easier to comp, right? Because there's a lot of data out there. And we've already talked about eBay, Market Movers, and 130 Point. So let's actually comp a regularly traded card. Y'all ready? You got your phones? All right. So this is a Patrick Mahomes 2017. I'll go slow. Donruss Optic. If you want the card number, it's card number 177. Am I talking too slow or too fast? Too fast. All right, so I'll go through it again. 2017, Patrick Mahomes, Donruss Optic. Card number is 177, and it's a PSA 9. If I need to repeat that, let me know.
for those of you watching on YouTube here, I'm doing this on sportscardinvestor.com just because since it is a liquid card, it goes a little bit faster to use. I use this as a little cheat here. What was the grade?
PSA 9. Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Let's see what you got. You want to come up? You want to come up so we can talk about it on the mic? Let's see what you got. So, tell me when you see that? What do you think? So, yeah, that's the right card. So we're looking on eBay, and we see the last comp was what?
$450.
450.
Yeah.
And then you see that how that one's crossed out. That's where you could go to 130 Point, and it would tell you what it actually sold for. So that's way more, but it's probably a different card. So that's a hollow as compared to the base, right? So we throw that one out, and then that one is pink, right? This one's not pink, so we throw that one out. How about this one? PSA 9. That's the same card, 382, and then 450 again, right? And then 380, right? So you see how this is a great example. I wish you could see. On this card, which is traded all the time, you'll see it doesn't always trade for the same price, right? That's one point to make. It sold for 370, 380, 425, 450. So what is the value? Is it 370 or is it 450? Did you guys find it? Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Do you have any questions about what you see on your screen, or does it?
Oh, that makes sense to you?
Makes sense. Okay.
So did anybody else find it? Did you find it? Yeah. And what do you think? What do you think the card is valued at? 400 to 450. So, okay. Connor, Ty, did you guys find it okay? 382 is what you found? So let me ask you guys this. If we saw 370 something, 380 something, 425 and 450 to the kids, what do you think the value is? If you can only say one number, what do you think the value is? What did you say? 425? Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Good answer. Good
That's
answer.
a very good answer. All right. Now I'm gonna ask the question a different way, right? My first question was, what do you think the value is, right? And I didn't tell you if you're the buyer or the seller. So now I'm gonna tell you, you own this card and you're selling it. What do you want to sell it for? What do you think the value is if you're the seller? 450. Okay. At 425. Okay. 400 hard cash.
400 hard cash.
Dude, you
Great
teach this
answer.
class here. I think the wrong guys are teaching this class. All right. Okay, so now, ready? Let's say you come in the shop and I have this for sale and you're a buyer and you like Patrick Mahomes, you want to buy it. What do you think the value is? $300. Okay. 275. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So all of those answers are right. Okay. All the answers are right. End of the day, this trades at a range. So the value is somewhere in that range. Ultimately, the value is what this gentleman said, whatever the buyer and seller agree to, right? Whatever the buyer's willing to pay, whatever the seller's willing to take.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't have said it any better myself,
Yeah.
guys. You nailed it. But
400 hard cash.
I would sum it up. I would just add on top of that. For me, I look at what did I pay for the card. So I always consider like, did I pull that out of a pack, and did I get that graded at PSA for $19? And so what's the cost? What's the cost of goods that I'm about to sell, right? So what is my profit margin? And we're getting into some terms here, right? So what is my profit margin going to be on that card? And from a lifestyle standpoint, what does it allow me to do? What am I going to do with that money? Would you guys buy more cards with that money? Would you say
They're
yes?
not paying rent yet, probably, right?
Buy more cards with that money? Would you put it in your bank account and then decide what to do with it later? Not sure. Would you buy your parents a gift? Would you buy your dad a Father's Day gift? Tomorrow's Father's Day.
Maybe a Graybo's golf towel for Father's Day, possibly.
Okay, so you see my point though, right? Like I think so I think through, and I don't know if I did it when I was your guys' age, I don't remember, but I now at age almost 42, I think through what did I pay for that card? And that factors in to what I would sell it for. So whether it's accepting an offer on eBay, whether it's accepting negotiating like you guys are talking about doing at like a card shop or a card show, which is super fun. I factor in like how much money am I going to make? And that's what the other person doesn't ever really know unless you tell them that, right? So I think you should consider thinking that way as well when you think about, like you could say, okay, this sold for $382 on June 14th. This sold for $450 on June 16th. That's a pretty wide range. Like that's a lot of money. That's a lot of different. If you're selling it for cold hard cash in person, you don't have to pay the eBay fees. Now you're in a situation where you're like, okay, I can really calculate how much money I'm going to make on this flip here. And you can determine whether or not maybe you do sell it for, maybe you come down below 382 because you're going to make like $300 on that.
Yeah.
And if you say 500, and then you might lose your buyer. Now you're in a situation where you're like, well, I could have made 350 or I could have made 300. And now I just lost that. So
one other thing to talk about here is seasonality. Do you guys know what seasonality means? It's okay if you don't. Do you know what seasonality means? So seasonality, how would you define the term seasonality?
Yeah, that's I'm glad you're bringing that up. And because that's exactly the perfect thing to say after what I just said. With this liquid card, like this Mahomes card is an example of a card that will always sell because like you can see it's selling multiple times every day. So if you lose out on a situation where maybe you do want $500 for it, that person walks away, doesn't want to do it. I think where Duke is going is that right now it's only June. Like no one's really paying attention to Patrick Mahomes right now.
Right.
Seasonality means when do you guys think people will be most excited about Patrick Mahomes as a player? What month?
Said playoffs.
Playoffs, absolutely.
Good answer. Yeah.
If he won the Super Bowl, absolutely. Yeah. Or the AFC Championship.
Start of the season, they nailed it.
Start of the
Yeah, you go.
season.
You
Those
said
are the
you said it.
three.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys nailed it.
Yeah,
Yep.
start of the season, you get a little hype.
Yep.
Makes the playoffs, get a little hype. He actually wins the Super Bowl, you get more hype, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All great
you guys
answers.
are 100% right.
Yeah.
So what do you think the value of this card? Like, what do you think these numbers would be if it was mid-February and he just won the Super Bowl? Okay.
515. Yeah. And so going back to Mark 600, yeah, maybe. Yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah, good. Let's do that.
Again, I
So-
think that he's teaching the next class, okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
But a tool like Market Movers, you can look at the last 12 months and you could see exactly what this card sold for at the beginning of last season, beginning of the playoffs, Super Bowl, and that might be what you can eventually sell this card for. If you think you're buying it today in the dead of the offseason, maybe today might be when the prices are the lowest, or if he gets injured, maybe prices might drop. But if you want to buy this for $400 hard cash, what could you sell it for? We'll go back and look and see in February what it sold for, and it's probably your answer. And maybe it's a little higher because the next Super Bowl number 3, right, which makes his value go up, which is more than 2 Super Bowls. Let me know, Mac, if you get something.
Yeah, so you can see here, like in Market Movers, optic, you just put in 2017 Patrick Mahomes, grade PSA 9, set optic, search last 365 days. And if we were to
can you go to the
chart this out, PSA 9. Oh, that's a pink.
Yeah. So this is the base.
There you go. Make sure you pick the right card, guys.
Definitely 177, but it's the base. Where's that?
Hollow. Let's just find a
There you go.
base PSA 9. Is that it?
Go. Yes.
Okay. Base PSA 9. Yeah, 450 last sold. So we go to chart.
And it's on last 30 days right now.
Here's
so he
the
can
chart.
click 365.
So go 365. Now you'll see this trend line that Duke was talking
There
about.
we go. Okay. So you see all these dots or data points? Each of these is a sale, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And that dotted line that goes through it, that's what I was referring to as a trend line. Does that make sense? It's what, so you can see it's slightly, you see where it starts here and where it ends. So it's slightly trended up, but think about this.
Dude said 500 and he's exactly right.
What did it sell for? 500 exactly. Yeah.
On,
$500 is what it sold
on
for.
March 7th. So
But
good call.
Look at the lowest comp, for example. Look at that data point right there. See who got the best deal on this card over the course of a year.
So that was is that this one? November
251.
November 3rd.
So look,
for
somebody
251.
bought this card for 251 and maybe sold it for 500. That's like the best you could have done on that card that year. So that's just something to take away from it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like the same as the F1 example I gave, where like you wouldn't think necessarily that people would be selling Patrick Mahomes for less in November because it's like the middle of the NFL season, but it's like that lull of one of you guys said the start of the season. The start of the season, prices are crazy high. By the time November rolls around, people aren't paying as much attention to it because a bunch of other stuff is happening. Basketball started, college football. I don't know, a bunch of other stuff's happening. People are getting ready for the holidays. So the trend line goes down. And then when the playoffs start again and Mahomes is winning again, it goes back up. So,
yep. Very cool. Any questions about that? About Patrick Mahomes card, Market Movers, anything? Because we're going to get into harder to comp cards. So because that's a base card and is a very popular player and there's a lot of them made and a lot of them graded, there's a lot of examples of that sale, right? So I would call that a very easy to comp card. Let's find a tougher one, okay? Are y'all ready to search for this one? This is a J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez. It's a Flawless is the brand. It's called Julio Rodriguez Flawless Signature. It's an auto, and it's to 10. Everybody probably knows how to search a slash with a 10. You guys know how to do that, I'm sure. If not, that's okay too. And I'm just gonna warn you, it's gonna be a hard one to find. So don't be surprised if you don't find it. That's kind of the point of this. You found it for sale or sold? And what's it for sale for? Yeah, but really quick, but before, will you pull up the correct? So this card. Again, he's teaching the class for us. That's right. All right. There you go. There you go. All right. Okay. So yeah, let's explain to the kids who may not know what Mac's doing yet. So this is a card that has actually not sold yet. That we at least hasn't sold on eBay. Out of 20 sold for 1,000. Auto. Kind of see that real quick. Make sure it's the same one.
It's not the same one, but it's close.
Okay. And so it's okay. Cool. So yeah, this is a 2022 Panini Flawless Signature Prime material. So right, so you guys are already doing what?
Can I see that real quick?
Yeah, you're already doing what we were going to suggest, which is great. So harder to comp cards. If you can't find that exact card comped ever, and sometimes you find just one comp or just two comps, and I feel much more comfortable when I have 100 comps of something than I have one or two, because at one or two, who knows, somebody might be having a bad day and just want to get rid of it. And so these are some tools. What you guys are doing, or what we're going to suggest, things you could do are establish a floor and establish a ceiling. So let's talk about a ceiling first. If you see this card listed for sale, did somebody tell me what it was for sale for? Do you remember the number? I think it was $2,899, $2,899. If it's for sale for that number and it hasn't sold yet, I would argue that's a ceiling, right? The market is dictated that no one's paying more than that. Otherwise, it wouldn't be sitting there, right? So you'd be foolish to pay more than that. And then establish a floor, a bottom. What you were doing, establishing a floor, was you found 1 to 20, and it sold for how much? The 1 to 20, Mac? Do you remember? $9.99. Okay. So we're now, it's still a wide range, but we're zeroing in, right? I would argue that if the same exact card, the 20, which is less rare, right? The 10 version should be worth more than the 20 version, right? So if it sold for $900,000, that should be your floor. $2,899 is your ceiling, and so the value is most likely somewhere in between. And do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think that's brilliant.
Okay. Okay. So now that's still a wide range. So like between 900 and 2,899, that's a huge range. So like what could you do to further zoom in on the value? Mac, you got any ideas? $2,300 and a similar card. Can you tell me what that similar card is? Okay, the similar card.
Mac's killing it.
Is 2022 Topps Gilded J-Rod RC Chrome Gold Etch Auto Flawless to 10. So right, so it's the same scarcity, 10. It's a similar product, right? It's a Topps Gilded, which is, and so because this is such a big card, so that's 2,300 is a pretty, I would say, the closest comp we have, right? But I wouldn't feel comfortable yet buying or selling yet with just that data. Would you?
No, not yet. But that's a great first step.
It is.
Sure.
It is, because you found a comp that's a different product, same scarcity, and it's in the range we already set, higher than the floor, lower than the ceiling. So I would dig further into that. So I would say, okay, if that's Topps Gilded and this is Flawless, how do those products usually trade compared to each other, right?
Yep.
So if you can't find a J-Rod in each, maybe you can find another player in each. Like who's another mega? So J-Rod's a top tier mega star, right, in the card hobby. Who's another mega star in your mind right now in baseball? Gunnar Henderson, right? So if Gunnar happens to have a card in both of those products,
yep,
he may not, but if he does, that's one way to look at it.
That's one way to look at it. Also, like, so this is where I was going.
Yeah.
Who is a rookie in that
same year
in that product, and would it be a guy like Jeremy Pena? So could we look at Jeremy Pena and see what he has?
Right.
And then you just repeat that. So like if you can't find Pena, and maybe there's not another rookie that's comparable, that has as much interest as J-Rod, because he was number one. Maybe it's Ohtani. Does Ohtani have a product like, maybe it's a comparable star to J-Rod in that year?
Right. Exactly. So like what you were saying, comping to similar players, that's what we were talking about. Maybe you find Pena, maybe you find Ohtani, somebody like that. Comping to similar products is what Mac was doing here, looking at Topps Gilded. So we talked about the ceiling, another ceiling possibly if you found one more scarce than this, right? So this is to 10. If you found 1 to 5 or to 1, and that would also give you another ceiling. But I will warn you, on these very rare cards, cards aren't traded very often. Just do more research before you buy or sell, because comps can be very erratic in these one-offs.
Couple more things I want to add. That's out of 10, right?
Yep.
Okay. So if you find one, like you could go J-Rod out of 25 and do a bunch of research on J-Rod out of 25. And if, like what I would do is kind of like a little trick is like I would try to find identify the price that I want to try to sell it for. Or I guess we're talking about buying this card. Either way, I would try to, if I'm the seller, I would try to find an out of 25 J-Rod out of Flawless that's sold for the price that I want to try to sell it for or more. And then I could say mine's out of 10. This one's out of 25. So mine's better. If I'm the buyer, I would just try to flip that the other way around and try to find. So I guess that's, maybe you already said that, but you could go out of 25 if you can't find like the out of 10 comparisons that we're talking about. Yep. The other thing I wanted to say real quick is that I just learned this big time over the last year buying cards. So when you buy on eBay, you might not realize like at a level of that value of a card, anytime you're over like a few $100s, sales tax starts to become a thing. So like, and sales tax can eat into your profit margin big time. So I live in Tennessee. So we have a 10% sales tax. We don't have state income tax. You guys like don't think about this stuff at your age, but if you're buying off of eBay, even through your parents' accounts or whatever, that account's going to have to, you might say, well, mom or dad, I've saved up $500 to buy this card. I want to buy it through your eBay account. If your state sales tax is anywhere near mine, that's a $550 card plus shipping. So now you just have to think about all the different fees involved. Yeah. My Slabs is a platform that doesn't do that. My Slabs charges like a 1% fee for everything. So if you buy a $50 Jalen Hurts card off of My Slabs, that's a $50.50 card. If you buy that $50 card off of eBay, it's a $55 card because of the sales tax. And it's probably going to be like a $62 card because of the shipping. Yeah. My Slabs doesn't have shipping, doesn't have include the sales tax. Yeah, transaction in any business, transaction costs can eat you alive. It's in sports card business, transaction costs, that's just magnified in my opinion. There's like, it's probably worse than any other business I've ever seen. As far as like for this card, for example, let's just say we zoom in, we think the value is 2,300. I'm probably not going to sell this on eBay. I'm probably going to sell it at a card show to another individual, and I'll probably sell it for 2,200, 2,100, something like that. Because if I sell it for 2,300 on eBay, I'm going to get less than 2,100 back. And that's the seller fee side of it. So now we're getting into like all this stuff that you guys might not care about, but I think it's important it's not as important at lower price points at card shows and card shops, but it is relevant because if you guys think about what these are selling for on eBay, like we looked up a minute ago, you could use that as a negotiating tactic at a show to set, because if you know that, yes, this sold for $450 on eBay and you want to try to buy it for them, they're going to try to sell it to you for $450. And you can say, well, hey, now you don't have to pay these fees. Right. So you can actually use hard cash. Take it or leave it. That hard. Yeah. I'm gonna get that on a t-shirt. Yeah. 400 exactly. Hard cash. I love it. Exactly. You get the hard cash. So is that we have after this just questions after this? Yeah. I want to make sure that we covered the stuff that you guys wanted to cover. I had two things. Number one, do you have any questions for us? Number two, if you were teaching this class, Mac, is there anything that you would have done that we haven't talked about yet? No? Do you guys have any questions or any topics that we didn't cover that you'd like to cover today? Connor, y'all good? I honestly want to know from you guys, like, how much sense did we make? Like on a scale of 1 to 10. I was judging by body language. 60% of the time we were doing okay, and 40% of the time they're like, get it. But on, like honest, like if you had to rate it, like was okay, decent, 5 out of 10. Okay, 50. Okay, good. 4 out of 10. So good enough. We got enough. That's good. Yeah. But with 10 being the best though, 10 being the best, we did 4, 5, 9. Yeah. Thank you. 8. Okay. Yeah. Do you want to show 130 point? Okay, like let's show 130 point. Good. Thanks, Gray. Yeah. All right. So yeah, he was saying if it's 4 out of 10 or 5 out of 10, what would you have done in this class to make it a better grade? Danced. What if we danced? Would that help? No. Okay. Give away free T-shirts. We got T-shirts back there. We should have given T-shirts first and then asked for the score. Yeah. Exactly. Do you already have one? Okay. You have a sports card strategy T-shirt. Make sure you get the sports card strategy T-shirt and. Yeah. Moms and dads, you guys got any questions back there? No?
No, but we really appreciate the parents getting the kids here. I know it's a Saturday and some of y'all had other stuff to do. Really appreciate y'all coming in.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, and then the dad Scott started sweating. He's like, "Oh crap, I got."
Don't call me.
I see the parents getting excited about
That's
this. That's
funny.
me. I'm like, oh, okay.
So
yeah,
Paul, will
this
you
is-
tell them, because if they can go back and watch this back on YouTube later, how the hell they find it?
Yeah, so this will be on YouTube. The YouTube channel is youtube.com/Paul Hickey, but it'll be at nooffseason.com. Sports Card Strategy Show, sportscardstrategy.com. So wherever you wherever you get your podcasts, search for Sports Card Strategy Show, youtube.com/Paul Hickey, and it'll be at nooffseason.com. So, and my business cards are in the back. So if you want to definitely grab my business card, guys. As you need any help with anything, like feel free to shoot me an email, and I'm happy to help you out. And if you don't have email, my cell phone number is on there. If you want to text me, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Thank you guys for coming in. Appreciate you. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Well done, sir.
Nice job. All right. Everybody on YouTube, thanks for watching and listening. We got through the technical difficulties at the beginning. Duke Dodson, say hello.
Evan Bell. Is he the Richmond guy? Evan, are you the Richmond guy? Yeah. Chad, Dr. Chad, what's up? Lefty and Brusky, you know my shoes. I know you're out there somewhere.
Yeah, Evan's in Richmond. Hopefully he'll be coming by the shop later today. We'll see. All right, we're going to cue that rock music here in a second, everybody.
Up the toffee.
Up the toffees. Okay, so everybody who asked questions in this chat on here, Joshua Flake, thanks for being on, and Mark Drzinski. I think we covered Mark's question on here with best time in general to buy football would be, I say June, also November and December. Actually, December is a phenomenally underrated time to buy football. And Joshua Flake has a question for Lefty. So Joshua, I'm going to screenshot this and we're going to answer your question on Monday's episode of the Q&A show, the Overflow show. So stay tuned for that. Everybody, thanks so much for watching and listening to the Sports Card Strategy Show special edition from Graybo's How to Value a Sports Card. Have a great day.